Many people meet Jesus in the books of Gospel. When they meet Jesus, they are filled with expectations, thinking that Jesus would give them wisdom about life or heal their illnesses. There was a centurion who thought the same. The centurion had a servant who was dying with a disease. He had a small hope that Jesus could heal him, and because of his hopes and expectations, the centurion's servant was healed. Today's story talks about what happens after that. Unlike the centurion who had hopes for Jesus, the people who meet Jesus in today's Bible text didn't expect anything from Jesus. Actually, they were in a situation where they couldn't expect or hope for anything from Jesus. So let's see what happened to them. Jesus went to a town called Nain with his disciples and a large crowd. Just then, a crowd was coming out of the town gate. They were in someone's funeral. All funerals are sad, but this funeral in Nain seemed even more sad because the person who had died was a young man and his mother was a widow. They couldn't even ask Jesus to heal the dying boy because they didn't even know about Jesus. All they could do was just watch the young boy die, and when he died, cry with the widow and carry the dead boy in the bier in his funeral. Jesus saw the widow and he was sad. When the gospel talks about Jesus being sad, it means that Jesus was in an unbearable state of pain, as if his heart was being ripped apart. It must have made Jesus even more sad to see the centurion's servant get healed just before, but the son of the poor widow just die helplessly. To the mourning widow and to the people in a procession of death, Jesus said, "Don't cry." It's actually considered very rude to tell people in a funeral not to cry. After all, funeral is about being sad and crying all one wishes. But Jesus said do not cry, so that he could stop their crying rather than cry with them. He shows us how he made them stop crying. Jesus touched the bier. Everyone was so shocked. At the time, it was extremely rude for anyone to touch the body of the dead besides the family. Jesus transcended the absurdities of the conventions and laws at the time and said to the dead man, "Young man, I say to you, get up." The dead man sat up and began to talk. His mother's sorrow vanished. Guys, who exactly is this Jesus of our expectations? Who is this Jesus that we wish to meet? There's one thing we must remember when we think about Jesus, which is that Jesus goes beyond our hopes and expectations. He solves not only our difficulties and worries, but also problems of life and death. Do not forget, Jesus is with us in the deepest of our sorrows and hopes. He goes beyond our expectations and helps us in the midst of our everyday lives.